still driving our weird 2 steering wheeled car.
Yeah, it's like we stole it from the driving school.
There we go. From the what?
The driving school. Isn't there like a when you get a driving school car? Don't they have like the passenger side has like its own brake pedal and its own steering wheel sometimes to like take over when the
They have a brake. They have a brake. I don't know if they have a steering wheel. I don't think I've seen a steering wheel before.
No, maybe it was just like my weird. No, I don't think I had one either. It was just my dream. There should be one. I wish there was one to drive. I wanted to know what would happen if you had a car with 2 steering wheels.
There is sometimes.
There
is sometimes 2 steering wheels in. You know, like I don't know what you call them. What's the correct term for those pathetic little like you get them in front of shops and it's like a car or a fire truck and a kid goes in it and it just moves back and forth a little bit. What would you call it?
Like a little ride, like a kid's ride, or
is it just a ride? Is it, there's no
motorized ride? Yeah.
Yeah, they often have 2 steering wheels in. I've noticed because I suppose 2 children can enjoy.
Right, they both can drive.
So there we go. That's what we're driving. We're driving one of those. Yeah,
one of those. Yes.
We got there in the end. It was worth it. So,
my apologies, everybody watching.
We're still no one's watching. We're still in Long Island.
Still in Long Island.
Yes, it's even longer than we thought.
Isn't that how I think they pronounce it Long Island, right? Isn't that right? Long Island.
Why is there something wrong with them, or?
No. I think that's how they pronounce it in Long Island.
Really?
Yeah, Long Island.
Oh, have they all had a stroke or something? Is that a Long Island accent?
That's just what I heard. I don't know. I could be wrong. Please don't get mad at me if you're from Long Island.
Long Island.
No, Long Island. They put the G and the I together. Long Island.
Oh, I see. Right. Yeah. Like longinus or long like that.
What is longinus?
Longinus.
Sounds like a medical condition. Longinus.
It does. But longinus. He's the
longinus.
Not now, thank you. I just did. He's the guy with the spear the spear of Longinus, right? The guy who stabbed Jesus in the side while he was hanging from the cross.
Oh. He had a long anus?
He might have done, yeah. He might have suffered from, and he was bitter about having long anus disease, and that's why he was stabbing Jesus, because his ass was jealous.
So he needed some preparation H for his long anus. Name is longinus? I don't think I've ever heard that before.
Okay.
Anyway,
that brings us very neatly.
what a great segue.
To our double bill of Shot in Long Island, Nathan Schiff movies. Have you first time encountering Nathan Schiff?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So to put this into context, so Nathan Schiff, he made some short films first, but then he made, I think, a trilogy of Go films from between 1979 and 1985, when he was, I guess, from the ages of 16 to 22, 23, something like that, which pretty much went unseen by most of humanity.
Yes.
Until 2003, where proper post-production was done and they kind of sneaked out on DVD, and then a handful more people saw them, I guess.
Yeah.
But they have kind of developed a bit of a cult following in the meantime. So we're doing 2 of them here. The one we're missing out is the middle one, the Long Island Cannibal Massacre. And so we're going to talk about 1979's Weasels Rip My Flesh, which I assume he got from the Frank Zappa, either the Frank Zappa album or the Men's Adventure magazine that Frank Zappa got it from as well. I'm not quite sure which. And then They Don't Cut the Grass Anymore from 1985. Right. So where do we start with this then? So these are glorified home movies, basically, right? Like,
I'm not sure that you would even need the glorified. I mean, they're really just it's really just a kid. Literally, he was 16 when he shot the first one, right? So really, literally just a kid with his neighbors and a video camera. I mean, really what it was, right? So
I think they don't cut the grass anymore. It's a slightly different proposition, but yes, certainly for Weasels Rip My Flesh, it's a kid being way more ambitious than he could ever possibly kind of get anywhere near pulling off.
Hey, good on him, you know.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I will say straight up, I very much enjoyed both of these films. Yeah, so it's shot on a Super 8, I think, and he uses kind of lots of old, library music and stuff like that. And so, yes, so basically, and to be fair, it's a fairly involved story as well, actually. Like,
yeah, I had to actually read the story to understand what was happening, because I don't think it doesn't really explain it very well in the movie, but it doesn't really matter.
Right. Yeah. So it starts with, well, it starts actually with a bit of a non sequitur with these two girls being murdered in a house in the woods, right? And but you don't really see. Did you happen to have a chance to listen to the commentary track?
No, I didn't.
Okay, the Nathan Schiff commentary track is quite fun, because Nathan Schiff is he's quite a cheerful individual, and he's fully aware of what he's got here. It's quite enjoyable.
When was it recorded?
I think in 2003.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So, but it's quite. So he explains that apparently this scene that they were going to do of these two girls being murdered, the reason that it doesn't make any sense, so you don't really see what happens to them, is he had everything prepared. I think one of them was his girlfriend at the time. I think she might also turn up and they don't cut the grass anymore, I think. But yeah, he had all these gore effects set up and everything. And then apparently when they were filming the scene, his girlfriend's older sister or something came home and said, "Fuck off, get out of my house, stop filming." And they just never got the scene properly. So yeah. So anyway, so it's on Venus, there's a toy rocket.
That's a pencil.
Yeah, Nathan just was really ambitious here, right? He went for miniatures and stuff, and no, they it's kind of charming, actually.
Yeah.
So there's a re-entry on re-entry, some kind of rocket or capsule or something crash lands, in the woods of Long Island. It has danger, radioactive contents written on it in pen, which is cute. And then some kids stumble across it. One of the kids gets bitten by a weasel, I guess. So they decide to get revenge by pouring the radioactive contents from this from space down the hole.
And they don't even know. They just found this sort of container, and they open it up, and it's got this like yellow goop in it. And they're like, "Hey, let's just get revenge on this weasel that just bit you, and we'll pour this in it."
Which, according to the commentary, is just hair conditioner.
Hair conditioner. Okay.
Yeah. So so they pour it down the hole, and then there's a transformation scene, which Nathan Schiff actually mentions. It was inspired by the film we talked about not that long ago, The Horror of Party Beach, if you remember.
Okay. Yes.
So it transforms into something with an eye and some tentacles, but I guess it's supposed to be a giant weasel of some.
But you never see it. They made like part of it, and so it's almost like you can imagine they just found like a piece, and then they just keep it at the bottom of the screen so that it looks like you're sort of seeing part of it, but you don't see it all. But I don't think they even had the rest.
Well, apparently they did have a full-on monster suit, but I don't know why they decided to. I mean, maybe it just looked way too ridiculous, like even for this film, that they. I don't know.
That must be pretty bad then.
Anyway, a cop is called in, and this is Nathan Schiff's regular John Smihula, who's a lot of fun in the second film we're going to be talking about. He plays Billy Bob, right? But anyway, in this, he's a very apparently modeled after Clint Eastwood's Dirty Harry, right? He's a very Dirty Harry-like cop and his partner, and they turn up to investigate the crime scene. But then a guy with a gun attacks, well, kind of, well, he holds them at gunpoint, and he gets them to go into his underground laboratory, which is basically Nathan Schiff's basement, right? You can see them coming in through the basement window. And it turns out that it was a bit difficult to understand exactly what his motivation was, but it seems as if he engineered the whole thing from the beginning, right? Like even the crash landing rocket, like he makes it sound as if it was his plan. Yeah, I thought he just happened across a giant weasel and then decided to do something about it.
Yeah.
But apparently, no, he planned the whole thing from the beginning, which is remarkable. Really? Yeah.
Wow.
And then he plans to.
So how did he plan to have the kids? How did he plan to have the kids pour it on the weasel then?
That's what I mean. It's very impressive what he did. He pulled it off.
Yeah.
So he's got the. Yeah, so we forgot the bit where the weasel gets hit by a car and is an injured. So and he's
but the arm just comes off.
Yeah, the arm, and then
the arm is a life of its own.
Yes, and but crawls off. But then this guy somehow got the arm, and he's also got. It's not even a weasel though, right? It's a gerbil. There's like a scene where he goes, "Look what I've got," and they go shocked, and then. But it's just a gerbil in a cage, and there's no even sense that it's a giant gerbil or anything. It's a gerbil in a cage, but they're like, you know. So he's got a gerbil, and I don't know what the fuck he's up to, but basically he's trying to engineer a race of weasel people to take over the world, I suppose.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and then. Yeah, so eventually the cops kind of escape, and there's one monster. There's a giant weasel. And then there's another guy with like something on his head.
Your explanation for this is basically how I felt watching this movie.
Right. And there's a bit of a monster battle between the giant weasel and the guy with some kind of head. And Dirty Harry guns down. Sorry, no, I forgot about guns.
You can't forget the big
yes,
like the king of all.
Yes.
Plot twist at the end, like that. Can I do this one? This is my favorite part.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
I was like, the whole movie, I'm like, what am I watching? Like, what is this? And then it just totally won all the awards for the greatest plot twist ever at the end. So the evil scientist has lost his arm. He's had his arm chopped off, but he's like kind of like outside, kind of running away, and he's sort of wanders into the water for no reason. He just kind of like, and then turns around and he shoots the cop. Right? Am I right? He shoots the cop, and then you think, oh my gosh, the evil scientist has won, and then out of nowhere, a shark shows up and rips off his other arm.
Yes.
Which apparently they found the shark in the garbage that day.
Yeah, it's like a mako shark or something.
Yeah. So it was a great ending.
I'd forgotten about that. That surprised me as well.
Yeah. I had some really good laughs this way.
As I was saying, and the thing is, like you said, he just wanders into the water. He's literally on the beach. But he's just
he's standing like it's like not even in deep water. Like he's still standing there. Like.
But what made me laugh in Nathan Schiff's very tongue-in-cheek, to be fair, commentary, he explains, even though he's like half a meter from the shore, he explains that the shark's bitten off the other arm, so he can't swim back to the shore. That's apparently that's how.
Sorry, say it again.
Huh? Because the shark.
The shark what?
Because the shark's bitten off the other arm, it means he can't swim back to shore. So that's how he actually dies. He drowns because he's so far out at sea. So, so it's an extra layer.
He's still walking. He's only like 3 steps into the water.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was this movie was like probably I have more money in my pocket right now than it was probably paid to watch this movie. It was like ultra low budget, but hey, you know, it was so fun. It was like really fun to watch. It was just a good laugh. I mean, I laughed several times through it, you know. So I mean, I don't think that they thought they were making anything that it wasn't. You know, I mean, I thought they were just like, yeah, let's just get together and make some fun, you know, kind of. And you can tell everyone was having a good time. But
I can see why, for whatever, I don't know who. Sorry, I don't know who prior to the DVD release saw this, but you can kind of see why they would have wanted to get this out there one day. Like, you know, we can't leave this rotting in someone's cupboard. That's what I was really.
The thing that surprised me the most was how did this ever get distributed? Like, what is the story of this movie? I mean, I made movies like this when I was in high school. I mean, like, you know, but of course I would never get it like a distributed, you know, like how would this movie eventually, you know, being made like that 43 years later be talked down by 2 old guys in Japan, you know, like how did that story happen? How did it get to the point where people could see this movie? You know,
I'm not sure exactly. Actually, I was looking about to see if I could find the entire, you know, if anyone's ever sat down and done an entire proper interview with Nathan Schiff, like how, like I was interested in that. Like, first of all, like, so I think he showed it originally. I think he showed it, you know, you probably projected on a sheet or something.
In someone's backyard or whatever.
Yeah, and I can kind of get that. And then, but I don't know if he might have managed to kind of get some people to see it, and then some people remembered it, or some people came, you know,
to like a festival or something, like possibly.
I know, or just stumbled across it. Yeah, in an archive. I don't know. I don't know the ins and outs of it, and I would like to know, because it's. I mean, I'm really glad this is out there and we can see it now. Yeah. And also you wonder, like, what else is lurking in people's basements?
People's basements, yeah.
Maybe there's another, I'm sure there is another, like a Nathan Schiff for each state of the union, right?
Easily, yeah.
Yeah.
Or even each town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are other examples as well, it has to be said. It's not just him. But like you said, sometimes it's just bad, or it's just, you know, boring, or, you know.
Yeah.
But
I mean, and certainly there was some boring parts. I was like, okay, like he's doing the attempted exposition of it.
But the whole thing's like 63 minutes. Like, so how are you going to get? You know, I mean.
It's very it's short and sweet. Yeah. So.
Yeah. So no, there's good fun. I think Weasels Rip My Flesh, and shall we? It is worth mentioning as well. Another thing I quite like about both these films have as well is it begins with really foreboding, kind of almost philosophical kind of voiceover, right?
Yeah. Is that Nathan Schiff himself speaking?
I think so. Yeah, it sounds like him from the comics.
Like he's just sort of like he's gonna like it's like real like deep like like talking about, you know, the nature of the world and you know, consumerism and whatever it is. I don't know what he's talking about.
Much like we do on this show, right? Yeah. So shall we move on to They Don't Cut the Grass?
Let me ask you why you chose the first and last and not the middle one.
That's a good question, actually. We could have done.
Have you seen the middle one?
Yes, I did see it. But to be honest, I wasn't sure. Because I feel a little bit as if during the course of doing this show and other podcasts, I think I've worn you down a bit, Ron.
Well,
sometimes I'm still not quite sure. So I was thinking, well, he might let me get away with 2, but I'm not sure if he's. But
well, I was sort of like 2, right? So, but I'm not necessarily saying why not all 3, but like why did you choose those 2 of the? why not? Like, why not the middle one?
I think I remembered these two being slightly more fun. I don't really remember what I thought of Long Island. I could look it up now, I suppose, but I think I enjoyed all three. But I think these two were the most fun for me, and they're kind of a little bit different, I suppose. They
because also the middle one has Long Island right in the title. Being the fact that we're doing location, I thought that would be more appropriate, right? But really, you can tell that this was shot in Long Island because all the people have really strong Long Island accents. It's quite funny to listen to. So
do they say Long Island like that?
Yeah, Long Island. So I can't do it, but no offense to people from Long Island, but yeah, it's very like, oh yeah, I can tell this is a Long Island accent.
So 1985, and but again only sneaked out in 2003 at the same time, is They Don't Cut the Grass Anymore. And this is kind of interesting, I think, because this is, on the one hand, you're in kind of similar territory. It's again someone trying to do something, although clearly he's realized he has limitations. There's no space scenes or anything like that this time.
Yeah.
So he's decided to kind of concentrate more on gore, which is something he can kind of pull off.
Right.
Very much inspired by Herschel Gordon Lewis films as well, I think. I mean, there's a direct reference to a newspaper headline that says "legs cut off," which is straight out of Blood Feast, and there's a few other kind of references.
I think it's also I kind of got references to like Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Hills Have Eyes.
Right.
Yeah.
And
kind of like the low class hillbillies. So.
And again, it's very tongue in cheek, but it's slightly. I think Weasels Rip My Flesh has that slightly more naive, childlike sense of like a 50s monster movie. And They Don't Cut the Grass anymore. So now he's in his early 20s maybe, and it's a bit. I mean, you'd have to be there's no way you could take offense at this film, but it's clearly slightly darker, and there's a bit more kind of juvenile misogyny about it a little bit.
Yeah.
But not to the extent that I think it's, I don't think it's problematic, because everything in it is so tongue-in-cheek and it's so over the top, right?
Yeah.
So Billy Bob, as played by John Smihula, and the other guy, Adam Burke, plays Jacob, and he's the one with like the monster mask on, right? He seems
Yes.
Yeah.
I was wondering about that. Like, it was obviously supposed to be that character's real face. So was he? They never really went into it, but like, was he supposed to have been like deformed, or was it supposed to just be like or was it supposed to be he was actually wearing a face or wearing a mask, or like
a leather face kind of thing?
Yeah, like a leather face thing, or like I couldn't quite tell what the idea behind, and they never really explained it. So.
Yeah, well, he doesn't say anything because he doesn't.
Yeah, he doesn't speak, anything. Right? So, I was wondering, maybe it was like the actor didn't want his face to be shown.
Yeah, I'll do you a favor, but I don't want to be seen.
I don't want to be in it. Yeah, so.
Yeah. But John Smihula certainly talks a lot as Billy Bob. He's having a grand old time.
Yes, he's loving his job.
So again, this begins with that very portentous voice over, right? Are we not also manufactured? And these bloody Barbie dolls that have been torn to bits. There's lots of talk about this is an indictment on the world and
he was trying to make it like a the poor eat the rich kind of like it's like the poor gardeners are working for all these rich entitled assholes, and they're trying to get their revenge on the upper class, and I don't think any of that was really that necessary, but I think that he was trying to sort of like give them a little bit of motivation that they're low class and they're just trying to give it to the rich people kind of thing, right? Which is the idea, but
right, because they're from Texas apparently, right? These two guys.
Yes. Yeah.
And
so they're so they're just like they're jealous of or disgusted by the lifestyle of these rich people, and so they're just gonna let them have it and say what they think of it. So,
Yeah, these Yankee Northerners. Right?
yeah.
And but before that, they go to the movies, and they watch a New York art film. I don't think much of these New York art films. They're underrated, no, overrated. And they go and see some strange film about a black dude keeping a white woman on a chain. It's the original Black Snake Moan.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, and again, Billy Bob enjoys pontificating about all sorts of things, and one thing is he goes on about how terrible this film and we could do better than that. And I don't know, is there actually much of a narrative other than that? I think they just kill people, right?
No, they just go. Yeah, it just seems like he's really focused on the gore aspects of this one. Like he really just found a lot of like meat. He just went to the butcher shop, bought a bunch of meat, and he says, "Okay, now just dig your hands in the meat, and I'm going to film you for like 10 minutes just digging around in meat."
Yeah, it's fascinating because it started. Yeah, you get there's like a shot of someone gets a head cut off or something, or stabbed, and then some entrails pulled out. Okay, there we go. Yeah, but then we're still doing like just fondling meat and eyeballs and just goes on and on and on. And it's kind of grisly, like as well, like because for instance they've put like it's obviously like a skull or a plastic skull or something. They put meat around it and they strip the meat off, and you're there thinking like, shouldn't you like be running away because someone's going to come along any minute now?
They never once felt any sort of like like tension or anxiety about being caught, or they're just like kidding people, and they're just walking down the street, and then at the very end of the movie they've killed all these people and they've gone back to they're sort of playing a song, they're just making a they're just like they don't care about anything.
Yeah, and they shove a spike up a guy's ass.
Yeah.
And there's a chainsaw comes out at one point, and some decapitation, and they put some firecrackers in the woman's mouth, who clearly suddenly turns into a mannequin just before they explode, right? And they must have spent a fortune at the butcher shop. I mean,
I imagine they just went and they just bought all the meat they could buy that they could afford, and then just okay, now put your hands in it and just move it around, and I'm just going to film you with the meat for a while. That's it. So, it was fine. Yeah.
And also, did you notice that it's some of the noises as well? Like, it's clearly someone doing it with their mouth, right? I'm guessing the chef going, near a microphone, like, So there's a few. I mean, like I said, there's a slightly more kind of there's a bit of a juvenile kind of misogyny to it as well, because most of the victims are women, and there's like one scene in particular which plays out with this ridiculous song. He calls me my dum dum yummy dum dum, or something like that. That song. So it's really kind of highlighting they're supposed to be kind of vacuous billboards or something.
Right.
Like so that's a slightly more sour taste that you wouldn't get anything like that in Weasels Rip My Flesh, right? Because so this is a slightly angrier young man.
Yeah, I'm wondering if maybe like Nathan Schiff himself was angry at the rich people in his town or something like that. Maybe he was
I don't know.
he lived on the wrong side of the tracks, and he himself was just getting out his jealousy and anger at the rich people. Maybe
I also quite
bullied by some rich people in his school or something.
I also quite liked when the two detectives on the case turned up as well, because these detectives are rubbish, right? They just turn up, and one of them just gets angry. I think this is sexploitation director Joe Mazzano actually doing a camera, and I've noticed the continuity of his glasses. They're on and off and on and off his face.
Right, yeah.
And yeah, he just gets annoyed and walks off. I'm not fucking solving this case.
Yeah, look at that. Difficult of a case to solve. They're just walking down the street doing it, right? So.
And the other detective really goes for it as well, when he's like, this is a terrible. And he's like, yes, there's some real sublime acting going on.
Yeah. I mean, you can tell these are all like basically Nathan Schiff's neighbors and friends that he's just sort of like co-opted into doing his film kind of thing, right? So, and they probably had like a screening of it, as you said, in his background on a sheet, and they're all like, "Hey, that's me! I'm in a movie," like that kind of stuff, right?
But particularly, it's John Smihula's. I mean, he's
swinging for the fences in this one, so.
with his strange like black eye makeup, pointy hat, and then it gets a little bit strange that one of the killers seems to have a conscience and help some girls that they've got captive escape, but then that doesn't really work out. And then finally, I suppose at the last stab of
because the one that escapes is the psychiatrist. Who's like
yes, that's right.
The world's worst psychiatrist. I'll get to these people. She's like, it's like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, look at yourself. You're so ugly.
You're so ugly. Look at yourself in the mirror. Okay, I'll let you go. Oh, okay. Oh, that really worked. Yeah, well, I'm a psychiatrist.
Yeah, that was good. So the last stab at satire was at the very end is, well, they don't cut the grass anymore, so their only chance is to stop being hicks and to take off their overalls and straw hats and makeup, and they put on suits and they become salarymen and they go to work in the city on the train, right? It's like, oh, okay.
Again, not where I thought this movie was going. And
no, fair play. Once again, a surprise. Nathan Schiff is good at titles, and he's good at surprise endings.
Yeah.
And he's good at doing everything. He does the whole thing. He's the director, writer, producer, effect, edit, music, go noises. I mean, there's nothing this man can't do. And then
he didn't act though. That's the thing. He wasn't an actor in it. So.
As far as I know, he's not in it. No. He did go on to make another a film I've never seen actually called Vermilion Eyes. Vermilion Eyes. Which seems to be very different and seems to be as if he had a proper budget, and it seems like actually came out, when it was new. And I've never
seen also with John Smihula.
Right. Yeah. But I'd be curious to see it, although I have the feeling it might lack the auteur kind of singularity of these films. Because once again, they don't cut the grass anymore. Also good fun as well, right?
Yeah. And I don't know. So then he made this Vermilion Eyes, and then that was it. I mean, he made a couple of shorts after that.
He did write. I mentioned that Joseph Mazzano was in this film. He directed a Nathan Schiff screenplay for a short film called Kung Fu Gandhi, which sounds good.
Okay.
From 1986. And he did another horror short, Abracadabra, which is another good title.
Another one called The Last Heterosexual.
Okay.
Yeah, another short. And then he produced, actually just a couple of years ago, he produced something called London's Musical Nightmare.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what that was. And that's about it. Yeah, so I don't know what he does now. So, but he also did he also wrote the song that they play at the end of this movie. I couldn't do it justice. I think you should put that at the end of this episode. The song that John Smihula and the guy with the mask play at the very end of They Don't Cut the Grass Anymore.
Not the one they sing in the middle.
The one where like where he obviously has never played a guitar in his life. He goes that one.
Yeah. Maybe I'll put that in at some point. That I just remember that that I don't know what that song is, if it's an old novelty record, but that
I thought no I think they wrote it.
is that. Oh, okay, that makes more sense.
Because he has a because Nathan Schiff has a soundtrack credit for this movie.
Oh, okay. Because there are novelty records in there as well, old records, and there's lots of library music. There's that library music which is in Night of the Living Dead and Teenagers from Outer Space and stuff. And
right, yeah.
Oh, so you think that Yum Yum Dum Yummy Yummy Dum Dum might be an original?
I don't know about that one. I'm talking about the one when they're playing the live.
Oh, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's an original.
Yeah. I think they just made that up. Yeah. So
yeah.
I don't know about the Yum Yum Dummy though. So yeah, you should check that out though. Yeah. Put one of those at the end of this episode.
Anyway, so we had fun, didn't we?
Yeah, it was good fun. Yeah. I'd be interested to check out part 2, the second one. So if you send me a copy, I'll
Long Island Cannibal Massacre.
Yes.
Yeah.
Was it fun? Do you remember it? Have you seen it recently?
No, I don't think I've seen it. Well, let's see now. We've got 3 minutes left, so let's see. Let me just scroll here. I should have my review. I think I reviewed it. Long Island Cannibal Massacre. Okay, I shall actually read this ad verbatim. I haven't read this, so forgive me if there's anything in there I shouldn't be said. Long Island Cannibal Massacre. Schiff, who also photographed, edited, and provided the effects, followed up to Weasels Rip My Flesh with this extremely low budget. You can hear the mic crackling and camera whirring, sometimes Super 8 Long Island gore movie oddity that wasn't properly released with post-production touches until 2003. It opens with a woman having her head run over by a lawnmower. An undercover cop who finds a head on the beach suspects a murder syndicate. A guy with a sheet over his head and wearing goggles, his long-haired biker partner, and another guy who hires them to kill are the main culprits. The innards of victims end up in bin liners and are fed to some kind of diseased, crusty, yellow-faced cannibals who were supposedly infected in Africa. You won't believe the ending with chainsaw dismemberment, huge monster face makeup, and cannibal kiddies. The actors are all terrible, but I love the accents.
There you go. The Long Island accents.
Long Island, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Okay,
good. Okay, so yeah, good. Good.
There you
Sounds
go.
good. And that was another point that I almost forgot about that you just mentioned there is that I loved how you could hear the camera working.
Right.
Hear the camera filming.
Yeah. So there we go. I think that's all you need is those 2 films and a few Long Island iced teas.
Long Island iced teas.
And you'll have a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Right. Until next time.
And with that, are we out of Long Island now?
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
Okay. See you, Long Island.
See ya.
All right.
Long Island. Bye.
Yeah, I'm gonna do 10 and 2. You can do.
Okay. I'm gonna ride my motorcycle out of town.
Get out of the road, you hippie.
You Long Island hippie.
Long Island hippie.
We came up here from Texas, but it didn't work out for us. We met a lot of fine people, but they ain't around no more. We were professional gardeners, but it got to be a bore. So we'll seek some new adventure, 'cause we don't cut the grass no more. Well, Jacob, you can put your harmonica away. It's all over now. Now we're ready for our new life. Whether we like it or not, it's our destiny.